Founded in 1999 by Jason Burks, Retrospec Films is Oklahoma's largest turnkey production company of its kind. With over 2 decades of experience, a full-time team of over 20 talented individuals, a 12,000 square foot studio to create in, and thousands of successfully completed projects in both entertainment and advertising. You're in the right place if you like hearing some good old filmmaking stories. On this podcast, we will discuss the pursuit of creating things and the problems we solve by digging up projects from across the last 20 years and giving you a glimpse behind the scenes where the magic happens. You're listening to Retrospec Films from the Archives.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on Retrospec from the Archives, where we discuss the pursuit of creating things and the problems we solve along the way. In this podcast, we dig up projects from the past, kind of dissect them and talk about some of the creative, unique aspects of them. And today we have Jacob Hightower with me.
Hello.
Film production director. We have Josh Garber.
How's it going?
How do you title yourself?
Studio manager.
Studio manager, ex-Marine.
Not ex-Marine. We don't do ex-Marine.
We don't do that.
Just Marine.
Oh, just Marine.
Yep,
so you're still a Marine, so I should be careful.
Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Okay, I didn't know. Sorry.
All good.
Oh, man. There's a whole group of people out there
the viewers
right now. Well, we are going to talk about a very unique project, something that I was so excited to do. We recently, the three of us, got to go offshore, way out in the middle of the ocean, and film on an oil rig offshore. Now, for me, I will say I have wanted to film on an offshore oil rig for a solid 20 years. One of my very first clients was Tulsa Welding School back when I was 17, 18. And I remember they talked about wanting to film welding on an offshore rig, and it was talked about. And it's complicated, it's difficult, it's expensive, blah, 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 blah. Just couldn't get it to happen. So I had to put those dreams to rest. And then here in recent times, we started filming things for Helmerich & Payne, one of the best companies in Tulsa that's headquartered here, and they are a drilling company. And we have been creating these little documentaries about different people that work for H&P and their lives, the things that are important to them, and what they do for their jobs, things that will really help with the culture in the industry at large, but also just help them in recruiting other good people that want to work for a great company. So the topic came up of the offshore oil rig, and I thought, I'm not going to get my hopes up because they've gotten up several times and then they just get slaughtered. But this time it went a little farther. So let's just start. I want to get some feedback from you guys. You probably remember. I don't know if when I first brought it up, if I brought it up as a we're doing this or we might do this.
Yeah, I think it was like we might be doing this. It was kind of like a dream. I mean, this is like a once in a lifetime thing. And I don't know. I heard talks about it and I'm like, I hope we do this. Oh my gosh, I hope we do this. And then, yeah, just like time went on and it started to become an actual thing. And we're like, we're actually going to do this. And I'm like, we're going to do this. All right. And so it's like there's so much that goes into getting out on an oil rig, though. So it's like, yes, we got the job on the oil rig. Oh, wait, how do we get to the oil rig? So, you know, that was a big aspect of it. But yeah, at a point in time, it was just a thought.
Yeah. I'm curious, Garber. Maybe you remember. I don't really remember at what point in time the information came to you. But I do remember this. Because I remember when you're still a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine. But I know you love to dive.
Oh, yeah.
And I know you lived in Okinawa for 2 years on the ocean. So I remember thinking, you know, like when this project came out, I was like, I was really excited because I was like, he's gonna not only think this is cool, but it's almost like it sort of presses into some of the specialties that he already has. So like it's just validation that you're supposed to be at Retrospec.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely. No, so I know that this was like a thought. I came in about a year ago, and this has been something that you guys have talked about doing for so long. And I think I remember hearing like a little bit about it, but not really knowing what it was. And then like one day you were just like, oh, hey, by the way, we're going on an offshore rig. And I was like, oh, what in the world? Like, that's awesome. And so then, yeah, we started talking about all the training and things that went into getting out there. And it was very much similar things that you have to do. You know, when I was in Oki, I was on a ship because I was a part of the MEU. So doing helo dunk tanks and stuff like that, learning how to evacuate a helicopter that has gone down into the water. That's something that you do in military training. So that was something that was really cool to do again, even though it sucks. It's not the best thing, but it was cool to kind of relive that a little bit. And then going on to the rig itself, like it just kind of brought some nostalgia to that. So
Yeah.
definitely cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So why don't we, I guess, dig into the first thing we were told, which was, what was it? What was the acronym? It was Helicopter Underwater Evacuation Training. Hewitt.
Yeah,
Hewitt. We
Hewitt
got our
training.
Hewitt cards.
Down in Houston.
And we heard stories, like people were like, "Oh man," and it was like I failed my first couple times, and I'm like thinking, we're all good,
Yeah.
we're pretty strong, we're
Oh,
good.
yeah.
But I'm also trying to imagine what it's like, and then someone's like, "Well, you get in a helicopter fuselage, and then they flip it upside down in midair, and then they drop you upside down into the water." And they fully submerge you underwater. And then you have to figure out how to get out of your 6-point seatbelt harness and knock the window out of the side of the chopper and then swim out to safety.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of a lot.
Sounds terrifying when you say it like that.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And so, you know, I think we're all similar in that we're like, yeah, let's
Yeah,
go.
absolutely.
I think we all grabbed our battle axes and went down to Houston. But
I think what helped me the most was knowing you had gone through this before.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, all right, if he's gone through it, he made it out. He's sitting next to me. We'll make it out.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
I'm trying to think who is the most scared because none of us are really the scared type. What-
No, I had my concerns because I had some rib issues at the time.
Oh, that's right.
I had a cracked rib.
From sliding
yeah,
out on your
that's
bike,
right.
right?
It was from soccer.
Oh, it's from soccer. That's right.
Yeah, but so I was a little concerned that I was gonna, harness me from doing the task and fail the test, but I made it out.
I mean, the only one who failed one of the passes was me.
Yeah, but it was,
That was a fluke,
It was a
though.
fumble. With,
That was a fluke.
That was scary, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they put
Oh,
they put you in that chair on purpose.
That was
They're
scary.
like, these guys want to record stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So why don't Hightower? Why don't you tell us a story? So what happened? We get on an airplane, then what?
We get on an airplane. We head down to Houston. For the training aspect of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So we get on an airplane. First time we don't have a bunch of gear with us.
That was weird.
We literally just
Yeah.
showed up with our backpacks, and I was
Just the
like,
three of us.
Moseying around.
I was like, something
Moseying
doesn't feel
around.
right here. We usually have like a load of gear.
Yeah.
So we get to Houston. We wake up the next morning. We get to the training facility. We have to check in, do all that, jump through all those hoops, and then we did like a 4 or 3 hour. I don't know. It was like not written, but they were just going over stuff.
Talking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
talking,
PowerPoint.
Watching videos.
yeah, just kind of what to do in those situations. And then we went out into this this big pool area to where they had a helicopter over in this side, and then there was a separate pool to where there was like a big diving board and stuff to where you had to jump off of, and you did all the training, right in those two pools. So it was just I don't know. It was a lot when you walk in there and you see that helicopter over in the corner. You're like, I am about to have to do that. And then you have, 15 people you don't even know that you have to go through this
Do
test
it.
with. And it was quite the experience. So
I did feel like, and I think the three of us are probably very like functional, capable, able to do specific, difficult things repetitively, right? But when we went into that little like fake capsule thing that was like not in the water, and they just wanted us to like get in and like say what piece of gear you're grabbing and go out, I was like, it like all happened so quick that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna screw up. I'm gonna screw up. Like I kept thinking I was gonna screw up, and I was like kind of freaking out, and I was surprised that everyone else was like functionally doing the things, because I like to think I'm a top 3% like valedictorian style human, but I didn't feel that way. I was like kind of freaking out. And then we go over to the pool. So maybe Garber, why don't you take it from there? So what happens with this deep pool? How does this whole thing work?
So I think the first thing we did was kind of go over like what to do after you egress out of the helicopter. So there was like, what's it called? Like a little, a raft.
Yeah.
They taught us how to kind of deploy the rafts and deploy our life vests, so on and so forth. And then they gave us little canisters of air, and you have to figure out how to breathe through the regulator. So if you're not a scuba diver, you've never done anything like that before, it is a very odd feeling, especially when your nose isn't covered, because a natural instinct is to want to breathe through your nose if you start feeling water tickling it and stuff, which I've done before and it sucks. I think everyone actually did really well with that.
Yeah.
But they have like a little like rail in the pool, and they just have you dunk your head and then you swim across and you're breathing through your regulator, just to kind of get the feeling, because that's what you do if you have to evacuate a downed helicopter. So we went through that whole process. And then after that is when we moved into the actual dunk tank. So I think we were like the third group to go through. So there's like a little bit of anticipation that built up. So it's always kind of nice to go through first, but sometimes it's not. But when you're watching people, it can kind of build some anticipation. Although everyone got out of it pretty easily, so I think that probably helped. But we got in the seats. There was 4 different variations that they went through. And I think the first one was just submerging the floorboard, I believe, kind of up to like your chest. And then you get out of the helicopter, killed that, swam out. The next one was fully submerging it, still upright, did that one. And then
that was no windows.
No
at
windows.
That point.
Yeah. There were no windows. That's correct. And then the next one was with windows.
Submerged with windows.
Submerged. Was it upright still?
It was upright still at that point, I believe.
With windows.
With windows.
Okay. Which one was the one that they got you on?
The one that got me was upright.
I know it was upright.
With windows. With windows. And it went, and it's a funny deal because you don't realize it, but when you're underwater, you don't have leverage. So you have to go underwater, push the window out first, so you have the leverage to push the window out, and then unbuckle the seatbelt. Well, my seatbelt, they had like a safety trigger that the guards or the safety guys could use to get you out of it. So we went underwater, and I went to push the window, and my seatbelt released, and I didn't release it, and then I couldn't get the window out. And there was a ceiling over my head. So then I didn't freak out, but definitely like had a moment where I was like, oh, I don't like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And I'm also not usually the one that like needs to get rescued, but he had to grab me and like pull me out of there. So it freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't have goggles or anything, so it's not like you can see. So you're just
so disorienting. Like it's especially when you go in submerge and then turns upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, left becomes right and right becomes left. And you don't know, like, it's just, and then water is rushing up your nose at that point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
That's a tricky one to figure out, because there's like no getting past it, and water up your nose is just like freaky.
Just part of.
It's just, after that one, everybody was coming up and just,
clear your sinuses out. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
What were your feelings on the first inversion, Hightower?
The first inversion was, it was a little scary at first, but I saw people go through it and get out of it, and I had confidence, and I think the first time my feet got stuck on the window a little bit, and the guy was like, you can't I was a little panicky on my first one.
Yeah.
But I got out okay, and then my next one was smooth.
Yeah. I feel like there's something really weird about being mounted to anything upside down in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, being on a roller coaster and going upside down is weird. You're upside down and you're mounted to something. So then stick it in the water and it's even worse, because now water's going up your nose and you're like, oh my God. And
can't see anything.
Like you get disconnected and you start floating that direction. And
that training was great and all, but it like what was in my head was, yeah, this is good training, but what I don't want to have happen is the actual helicopter go down.
Yeah.
Because that was a thing that was looming in the back of my head.
Yeah.
I go, wait, why are we doing this training?
Yeah.
You're being
yeah.
gently set into the water.
Right,
You're not like
right.
crashing into it.
So that was a little bit in the back of my head, like, wait, we actually have to get on a helicopter and this could become true.
Let's not forget about the guy in our class that goes, "Oh yeah, I've been in the Gulf twice."
Yeah.
I was like, "What?"
Right.
He's like, "Yeah, choppers go down all the time."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What do you mean they go down all the time? They haven't figured that out yet?"
Oh, man.
So, I mean, I was thinking maybe we'll have to use this training. Well, we should probably fast forward now
Yeah.
to the trip. So we did this training, what was it? It was a couple weeks before. Yeah, like
Yeah,
a month
I think
before
so.
or something.
Mhm. Yeah.
So then it came game time. We fly to, I believe it was New Orleans. Yeah. We flew to New Orleans,
Yep.
jump in the car, drive to the hotel out by the chopper. What would you call it? Hangar?
Airport,
Airport?
kind of.
Airport?
I actually don't know what they're called.
Heliport?
The
Heliport. It was
That's-
called a heliport.
Yep, that's
There
what
it
it's
is.
called.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we go to the heliport, or we sleep in a hotel by the heliport, wake up the next day, go out there in the morning, have a COVID check-in booth in which our COVID tests weren't considered good enough.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to get
it's a
into it
scam.
because it's COVID. So I'm not even going to get
More
into
money.
it.
Defeated.
So what, we walk a mile?
Yeah, it was like a 3/4 of a mile
Yeah.
to
3/4
this
of a
like
mile.
COVID testing facility that they have on site.
Yeah. Sort of on site.
Yeah.
3/4 of a mile on site.
Yeah.
Yep,
All
it's
you got to
fine.
do is pay the guy $300 and you get
Yep.
a positive
Yeah,
COVID
exactly.
test.
And you're good.
No, I'm just kidding.
So-
Negative. Yep.
We get our negatives.
Yep.
Thank God.
Yep.
And they take all our gear. They had to go through some things. That was a bit of a deal, but
Yep.
Mhm.
Our lithium ion batteries were a thing to them.
Yeah.
They did not want those on the
yeah,
helicopter.
which we're used to. We
Yep.
fly with batteries a lot.
Yep.
So we have to wait. We did get shut down on drone. They said no flying drone out there, but we're at the mercy of what they'll let us do.
Yep.
And gear gets loaded. We jump in a little John Deere side by side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they sped us out to this incredible chopper. Now, I don't even know. I guess have both of you been on helicopters before or no?
That was my first time.
Okay. So that was the coolest helicopter I'd ever been on. And I've been in a lot of helicopters filming, but that thing was amazing.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
was.
yeah, I've never been on a helicopter, so that experience was amazing. Like I don't know, it was such a smooth ride.
It
was,
was so smooth because it's funny. I've flown in a lot of R44s, which are like these little guys. And when they take off, you almost feel like someone connected a cable to your back and they're just lifting you up and you're and they kind of take off like this. It's like, and you're waiting for it to gain its full consciousness and grasp on the air because it just feels like such effort, which
Never
that's
does.
kind of what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I like to freak you out when I get those small opportunities in life because I
Like
remember
my firsts of everything.
yes. But I remember I feel like I had told you something take off slow, this or that. And then it was funny because he starts it off, and what was crazy is they could drive with it.
Yeah.
I've never been in a chopper like that.
Yeah.
They take the blades off and they start driving on the ground and
Yep.
just cruising like a jet would, cruising down the tarmac and headed over to a spot. And then it's just gone.
Yep.
Yep.
Which I was impressed.
Very.
Yeah, and then we just start cruising. Any thought? I will say my biggest thought at that point was how amazing the strange scenery of the
Yeah.
bayou of Louisiana was.
Yeah.
But what were you guys thinking? Where are you at, Garber?
I mean, I just love being by the ocean, so I was taking all that in.
Yeah.
But it was incredible. I mean, I fell asleep at one point, which, again, you think about a helicopter, you're not thinking about, I'm going to fall asleep on a helicopter.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was so smooth, and it was just a easy ride
Yep.
once we got on and in the air.
Yep.
Yep.
Anything to add there,
Yeah,
Hightower?
I was just judging distance and stuff and just looking down the coastline and seeing all those little islands and
Yeah.
it looked like
Yeah.
man-made.
It's crazy.
Beautiful.
Yeah, just like the bayou, I
And
guess.
endless.
Endless. And
Endless. Thousands.
there'd be little tiny homes out and I'm
Mhm.
like, how do they get there? It must just be boat.
Yep.
They just boat
Yep.
out to their
Fan
house
boats.
and fan boats, all that stuff. And it was just amazing to me to see all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
But I was excited to get to the rig.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So we get to the rig. We fly out, I think it was 140 miles into the ocean. They land the chopper on this rig, not even a big deal. I thought it was crazy, but it wasn't even a big deal. They do it all the time. Land on the rig, unload all the gear. And now I think we have about 24 hours, maybe like 30 hours. We had that day and then really a good chunk of the next day.
Yeah.
To film. So we pretty quickly busted gear out and started filming. I mean, we got there, we did go through the orientation and this is your bunk room and all that jazz.
Yep.
It's like a whole village out there. I mean, I think we were on not just a drilling rig, but like, I think they called it a platform. Like it had all the things, like, multiple companies all working together. It's like hundreds of people on this rig. It's like a whole family out there. They have a huge kitchen, all the food you could ever imagine ever.
That was delicious.
More food than I've ever seen in one spot in my whole life.
Yep.
So we pull cameras and just start shooting.
Yeah. It was a kind of a not so typical shoot. I mean, we were out in 150 miles out in the ocean on a platform, 150 feet above the ocean. And it's like, well, we can't.
Above the surface of the ocean.
Yeah, above the
3,000 feet above the floor of the ocean.
The floor of the ocean. And it was just one of those things to where, I was really amazed that we get to shoot on something like this.
Yeah.
This is really, it takes me back to like watching Deepwater Horizon.
Yeah.
That movie, it kind of, we all sat down and watched it before we went out there on this. No, I'm just kidding.
I did watch it.
Yeah.
Because you told me to.
I did.
I watched it like for the first time 2 weeks before that. And like halfway through the film, I was like, this was a terrible idea.
It's on rerun in the helicopter.
And side note, Deepwater Horizon was like the next rig over from where we were. I mean, it's not there anymore. Right. But that's where it was. It was right where we were.
Yep.
Yeah. So at least you had an exit plan. You're going to...
Just jump off.
Yeah.
But it was just awesome to get to be out there
Yeah.
and to shoot on something like that.
Yeah, I would say probably for me, like the most memorable moment was climbing that derrick.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
was
you got to
awesome.
go up to
I
the
climbed
top.
the derrick.
Yep.
And it's so funny because so few times will anyone ever let me climb the derrick. I've been trying to climb the derrick for my whole life. But those guys were like, yeah, you good to climb? We'll hook you up and you can go climb it. I was like, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
So I'm up there. It's like sunrise on the second day and looking out and 360 degrees. It's just ocean in every direction. And I got to get some shots up there, which was really cool. Which, I think honestly, even at nighttime, like how epically beautiful it was, it was surreal. That whole 2 days was kind of surreal for me. I was trying to like keep my composure and do my job, but I just wanted to like nerd out and, be excited the whole time.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Garber? I mean, I'm kind of curious, and maybe because you've been out on boats a lot. Like I know you had some different times where you had to go out in the ocean when you're in the Marines, but was there anything? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of ex-Marines that probably work out there on that rig, but
I would think it'd be kind of a job that, veterans go for.
Yeah. Not ex-Marines.
Yeah. Come on.
Veterans.
Dude. I'm sorry. I heard that.
You'll get it. You'll get
you later.
No, but I mean, it's cool. So, being on a ship, like as a Marine, at least, like you're just along for the ride until you get to your destination. Navy kind of tells themselves that there are taxis or Ubers or whatever. So there's a lot of people on the ship. So it's pretty packed. You're waiting in lines to get food. The living standards aren't like super up to par in all honesty. If you're in the military, you totally get what I mean. But being out there, like those guys are taken care of. Like the food was delicious. They're not overcrowded. They've got snacks everywhere. The people out there were just great. Like they all just seemed like they took care of each other and they were just good people to be around. And yeah, I mean, like that family aspect, like I think you could tell when you were out there, like everybody was just a family. Those are the guys you're out there working with day in and day out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long hours. So there's definitely that camaraderie that's out there. And that's a similar thing to being in the military. You build those bonds with those guys that you're grinding with every day. So it's cool to see that, just because those are things that I really enjoyed and appreciated about the military. So being able to see that in the civilian world is really cool. So
yeah, that's
definitely
awesome.
a humbling experience and just really awesome. Kind of once in a lifetime probably deal, and
maybe we'll get a chance.
I don't know.
more.
We specialize in
We
it.
made some friends.
Yeah, we made some friends.
I got some
They were
business cards.
Super
Yeah.
welcoming.
We'll do it again.
Absolutely.
We'll do it again.
Hey, all for it.
Yeah.
All for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I think we're kind of concluding our time. Do have to say that, man, that footage turned out so amazing. I think that
Incredible.
that video's not done yet, is it?
I haven't seen the finished product.
Yeah. Now that
I've
we're
just
talking
seen-
about it, I'm gonna go down there and be like, hey,
Yeah,
where's
check it
that?
out.
Where's that at? I want to see that
Yeah.
footage.
My name is Oscar Rivera, and this is my H&P journey. I was born in Honduras. I left Honduras. My parents brought me back to Boston when I was around 5 years old. Right after I got out of the military, my sister lived in New Orleans, and I ended up following her, ended up telling me offshore work was gonna be something for me. I've been working here on Mars, it's going on 17 years now. Working in the ocean is not for everybody, but people makes a big difference. I've been married 23 years. I got two kids. My daughter's 20 years old, and I have my son, he's 12 years old, just like his dad. Working with H&P, I don't think it's a job, it's a career, especially if you out here half of the year. This is family, away from home. Making it work, it's staying on top of the game, getting along with your co-workers, staying focused, safety, that's a major priority for us, for H&P. As a derrick hand, we have to maintain the derrick, do all the derrick inspections. We have to keep up with the mud pumps whenever we circulate. We're drilling. Once a week, we do a real thorough derrick inspection from the rig floor all the way up to the crown. Working at heights is not for everybody. Doing this for 18 years, you get used to it. During Katrina, it was nasty. Houses blowing away. But at the time, I was already working with H&P. We ended up leaving New Orleans late. We ended up going to Lake Charles. And H&P told me to stand by until everything got back to normal. It was an experience that I never want to see again. I'm looking forward to keep working with H&P. I see my future way out there till retirement. So that's why I have to put my 110% to keep doing the right thing and keep learning. Don't stop learning out here.
What an epic experience, creating some amazing footage, telling a really good story of really, really good people that work out there on those offshore rigs. I'm proud to be a part of that. And yeah, I mean, you guys we're the only team. We're the only guys, you know?
The only ones. Yep.
We specialize in it. Like
we
I said,
specialize in it.
Yep.
if you need us out on your deep sea oil rig,
We're the guys.
give us a call.
We got all the
We'll
certifications
take care
now.
of you.
Awesome. We'll appreciate you guys joining us for this episode of Retrospec from the Archives. If you're interested in learning more about what we do, obviously you can dig the website, watch other episodes. We're always excited to get out there and film, and I think that's what you guys are about to do. Is you're leaving for Texas to film now.
Yeah. A couple hours. We're heading down to Texas.
Yep.
All righty. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys. We'll see you next
All
time.
right. Yep.